Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another segment of Poets in 30, your Poet Sports Talk Show, brought to you by kpoetradio.com. I'm your host, Lance Franny, joined by Associate Director of Broadcasting, Tyler Zick. Tyler, Christmas time, buddy. Ready for the holidays?
Holiday season. I'm ready to get this going. Last Poets in 30 segment of 2013. So let's end the year with a bang, shall we?
Let's do it. So it's going to, again, like Tyler's saying, it's going to be our last show until we open up the new year in January. Probably bring in a couple guests on the show, probably with beginning with Rob Coleman for his annual Poets in 30. Starting off with some topics. Men's water polo played in the NCAA championships last week. And taking on Stanford University, they ended up losing 20-3. But, big second half they played. They got blown out in the first 13-0 and then came out strong in the second, losing 7-3. Got a goal from Wedge Moulton, 2 goals from Marco Zurich. But, hey, great run this year. One of the best single-season performances. Probably the second best record in the Whittier College Men's Water Polo record books.
Yeah, I would say a fantastic season for Coach Pudwell. Wins both in the pool and out of the pool. And when I say wins, it's in putting together the team that he was able to construct, coaching the way he coached, putting together the coaching staff that he was able to assemble, adding guys like Ryan Rock and Chet Schuster, guys who really do get it when it comes to Whittier College water polo. And I think that the addition of Chet and Ryan actually took this team to the next level, specifically Ryan Rock. Chet, obviously an all-around excellent player when he was a student here at Whittier, but Ryan working with his namesake, Ryan Brunansky, in the pool, working on goalkeeping, working on different strategies on how to really become Ryan the Blockade Brunansky, which he evolved into this season. And we had a chance to talk to Rob, who went up there and watched the game up at Stanford, and he said that despite the lopsided score, Brunansky really was impressive in the net, blocking point-blank shots and doing a fantastic job of not being afraid of these Division I water polo players.
Correct, yeah. Ryan the Blockade Brunansky finished with 14 saves for the game, which was unheard of. And he was stopping point-blank saves, like you're saying, one-on-one situations with the guys and then coming up big with those saves to, help Whittier in that second half, trying to get back into the contest despite the loss. But hey, great atmosphere, great experience for the guys. And we've been talking about men's water polo in almost every single Poets in 30 this season, which is great. And now we're in the middle of basketball, and we just finished water polo season. So a lot of good things there for water polo, looking for the entire team to come back next year. So head coach Justin Polo was really excited for what lies ahead for the men's water polo team. Hey, but going in next year, they're going to have to defend their title. Now they're going in as the favorites to win once again.
Target is on their backs, I would definitely say. I think the one good part, although there are not many good parts about this, of a team or a school not having that many really substantial athletic teams or teams that have been dominant for years in a row. No dynasties really have been a part of the Whittier College scene, athletic scene, I should say, since probably the 80s at the latest. So now the Poets are not going to be able to sneak by the rest of the conference. They are going to be circled on everybody's schedule.
Correct, and I'm sure Justin Polo is going to elect to have a tough conference schedule, or a tough schedule at that once again, as he usually does. But again, hey, this is the first Sky Championship in the last 8 years for any program here at Whittier since Rob Coleman's been here as the AD. So I know he was really excited that weekend when he was gone on a trip to Brazil when he heard the great news about that. But hey, now with the end of men's water polo, now we're full into the winter season with swim and dive for both the men's and women's, along with men's and women's basketball. And hey, right off the bat, we'll start off with men's basketball. They're 3-3, 500 here on the season, and right now they're 0-1 in SCIAC play. They lost to Redlands this past weekend. Lopsided loss, 90-64. They're outscored 40-28 in the first half, outscored 50-36 in the second. And talking to Rock Carter after the game, some of the players, that really shouldn't have happened. Redlands was at the bottom of the conference in the standings. As you can tell, they were 1-5 going into the game, 1-1 in SCIAC, and they were at the very bottom. And Rock says that the guys came out, the crowd was in their heads a little bit, he said, during the game. But he said it was an exciting atmosphere, but he's ready to go for them to come to Redlands, come to the Graham Athletic Center, because we also have a hostile environment here for teams coming in.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think that this win for Redlands was a bit of a fluke. You said it already. The bottom of the conference, our team has shown that they can play at the level of some better teams. But with this loss, they've also shown the dark side to that, and they will play down to their opponent. And in this case, they played below the Bulldogs.
Correct.
You got to tip your cap to Redlands for coming out, not being really intimidated by Whittier's speed, size, whatever you want to call it, and not allowing their then 1-5 record to affect their style of play. They earned the win. They beat Whittier in every statistical category, and you said it already, the scoring in both halves favored the Bulldogs. The one bright spot, I think, was Nick Demusis, and we'll talk a little bit more about him in a few minutes. But overall, Whittier College basketball needs to just refocus and come out for Chapman next Monday.
Correct.
We're going to be broadcasting that game live on the Whittier College Sports Network, so be sure to tune into that. But I really do think that they're going to go out to Orange and have a chance to really take it to the Panthers and use this win as fuel to do so.
Correct. And Redlands and Chapman last year were two of the teams that were up within the top 4 in the conference last year. Chapman barely missed out in that 4th spot, but they were up there. They had a chance to come in, but they ended up losing at the very end, at the end of the season. But they're a very talented squad every year. Redlands also a very talented squad. A lot of bigs on that team. And again, something else, the Poets also didn't have Tyree Landro, once again. And a lot of the players are saying if they had Tyree and they're that all-sky performer, a lot of people even think he's good enough to be the player of the year in SCIAC. And, without him inside, that kind of negates those the big bodies inside for Redlands, and we can't really, do much without him inside. So hopefully next time we play them, we'll have him back. He's expected to return by the P&G tournament this month, if not the beginning of January. So we'll see what lies ahead with him. But again, like you said, Chapman on the road next Monday at 7 p.m. It's going to be a night game. We're going to be bringing that live to you guys on the Whittier College Sports Network and on WCPoets.com. So make sure you tune in for that game. It's going to be a doozy.
And I think another point to make about this men's basketball team, if I could just talk a little bit about Chris Barnes-Williams. Last year came in his first season wearing the gray jersey, and he really showed everybody that he comes to play. This season, totally different. And just looking at the stats from the Redlands game, he was 0 for 9 from the field, ended up with 1 point, and that was from the line. He was 1 for 4 on free throws, missed all 4 of his three-point opportunities, and he was on the floor for 18 minutes. So while he has not been starting this season, based on both some off-the-court problems prior to the start of this 2013 campaign, but also to his inability to be effective. And Chris has shown that he can come out and really play top-tier basketball.
Oh, yeah.
But this year he really has not done so, and the stats are not lying.
He's had a couple great games already this season, and those were double-digit performances. But again, he was going 20-plus in almost every game last year, but right now we just haven't seen that yet from him. And I was talking to David Richardson yesterday, actually. I was actually rebounding for him during his hour shoot-around yesterday, and just talking about the game and about the season. He said that Chris Barnes-Williams was rattled in that game because of what the fans were saying. He said it was so hostile, so bad with those fans that it just got into his head and he just couldn't focus at all.
Did he tell you what they were saying? Any specifics?
He didn't really go into any specifics, but he was like really making fun of him and saying they don't understand how he's out on the basketball court, or I don't know if they were saying any like your mama jokes or like anything like that, anything really like, hopefully no racist comments or anything like that out there at Redlands. But he still said it was a very hostile crowd and they really got into the players' heads because of how close they are on the court. But hopefully when they come out here to Whittier, we'll bring it right back at them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit wary to allow that excuse to
Very true.
make up for the lack of performance, because there are going to be hostile fans in every single gym that you go to, especially in Division III, where all of these gyms are small. We're not playing in any arenas, folks. The fans are going to be right on top of you every single game. And Chris is not a first-year player. He's played college basketball not only for a year here, but also has experience in Salt Lake City, where he's from, out in Utah. So I'm a little bit surprised that he allowed himself to get so rattled by the fans. You'd think that as a college athlete, you'd find a way to block that out. But
Correct.
That being said, I'm not on the court. I have never played college basketball. That being said, I've never played basketball in my life. Do not put a ball in my hands with a hoop in the air, because I will not make the shot. I'm putting that out there right now. I'll be honest with you. But at the same time, so much time spent on the court, you'd think he'd be able to make one shot from the field, at least get more than 1 point.
Especially with how talented of an individual he is.
Yeah, and he's hit, along with Jacob Porter, that's the 1 and 2 guys coming off the bench for Coach Carter. Those are his primary substitutes. And when you've got a guy like Chris Barnes-Williams unable to make any shots, you're not going to win the game.
Well, and looking at it, too, you have Michael Alvarez with 7 points, which is huge. You have Porter with 6 points off the bench. But one of the other stat lines you see, Eric Godey, 0 for 4, 0 for 2 from 3. And he's a guy off the bench that actually can come in and, chip away at the lead, come out with, a few three-pointers. You can always count on him for about 6 to 10 points every game. And you see he had 0. He had no points, 3 turnovers, 2 fouls in that game. So, just not a good basketball game at all for them.
Yeah, just a lot of zeros on the stat line. We're looking at it right here in the studio.
And we really don't want to dwell on it, No. And, hey, the game's over with. It's done. Poets are 3-3, 0-1 in conference play, but looking to bounce back against Chapman on the road next Monday, and we'll see what happens.
We will.
They need to get some confidence going to the P&G tournament, which we're going to talk about a little later on here in the show. But now moving into swim, they had their first guy meet this past weekend. It actually was in the downpour. It was pouring rain during it. I don't know how the divers were doing it. Don't know how the swimmers were doing it. I was under a pop-up, thank goodness, but everything kept getting wet. It was just miserable. And we played Claremont and we played Chapman for both the men's and women's side. So it was a tri-meet. It was a long one. It took about 5 hours for this swimming, and that's just ridiculous. That should never happen. But right now, Claremont ended up taking it. They took 1, 2, 3 in both diving events, the 1 meter and the 3 meter for both the men and women. Their James Stevick, their big stud, already ended up qualifying for nationals at our meet.
Oh my goodness!
In the 1 meter dive with 302.75 points, or excuse me. Yeah, 302.75 points, as we can see here. But James Stevick was just unbelievable. He took first place honors in both events, qualified for nationals in the 1 meter already, and it was just unbelievable. Talking to their head coach after the meet, it's just unbelievable talking to him. He used to be a high platform diver, their head coach, and he used to be I don't know if he was an Olympian, but that's what he used to excel at, were the high dives, much higher than the Olympians do, actually higher than that.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't know how well I would do with that. But either way, the men's and women's swimming and diving teams, Claremont's a good team. No matter where you go in any of their events, they're good. And swim and dive is probably one of their stronger sports at the school, and they just tore it up in that afternoon. We did beat Chapman, though, on both sides for the men's and women's, so that's always a good win. We blew them out pretty easily, so we ended up finishing second there in the tri-meet behind Claremont. So don't know where that kind of puts us in the conference standings at all, but overall, a good success for the swim and dive team. That's their first SCIAC meet that they had, and now moving forward on December 13th, 14th, and 15th, they have the winter invite that they're traveling to in Commerce, California, it looks like. So they're going to be there for 3 days. And then when they return back in January, they're going to go back to SCIAC competition, hosting Redlands, hosting Occidental, hosting Pomona-Pitzer, Laverne, on the road against Cal Lutheran, on the road against Caltech, and then they go to the diving prelims and then the SCIAC championship. So hopefully after the winter invite, opening up the new year, you're going to see reformed swim and dive team. But also you'll see on the men's side, they're also going to have all the water polo players back, too. Because water polo, they do water polo, and then they go into swim and dive. And now that water polo has, had a long season, they're getting some time off. And then once the new year rolls around, you're going to see those water polo players out there swimming as well. And that's going to help out with the depth. We're going to get more points. So hopefully we'll see a jump in the standings in swim and dive coming around in the new year.
Yeah, and just to go a little bit more into swim, specifically one of the men's relay teams, I'm interested to see how the addition of Gabe Lane to one of those relay teams is going to improve the overall result. Gabe with some off the pool, or out of the pool, excuse me, out of the pool. I'm going to get that right at some point. By the time that the SCIAC championships come around at the end of February, I'll be able to say out of the pool. But out of the pool problems kept him away from the swim team for his first 2 years here at Whittier. He's now a junior. I've had a chance to talk to him on a number of occasions. He's refocused, rededicated, and really ready to give it all and leave it all in the pool. So I'm excited to see how he'll help out.
Well, right now you see himself, you see Phillip as well, who's a 50-meter free guy who's very good, who was made a B cut for the Nationals last year. Very fast swimmer. But you also see Kurt Holzmuller, is now coming back.
Right.
And he broke 7 records last year in one season. So now that you have him back, he's going to be swimming a lot of
That's
events.
right.
You're also going to see Gavin Kerr coming back. Maybe Bernansky might swim a little bit on some of the relays to get some work in the offseason. But you're going to see a big jump in the standings. And with Kurt Holzmuller coming back, that's going to be a huge addition for the purple and gold. So I'm really excited to see him. I'm hoping they're going to do really well in the new year with some of these kayak meets coming up. But right now, they already beat Chapman. And some of the big teams, Kowloon, we want to beat. Laverne, we want to beat. That's going to be a big one. Oxy, we want to beat. So some of these, we can make a big jump in the standings, leapfrogging some of these programs from last year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But last topic for us, we haven't talked about women's basketball, and we'll do this right before our break here. But we'll touch upon this briefly. Right now, women's basketball is 0-7. I was at the game last night. Tough loss to Biola University. A very tough squad year after year. But this year, Biola was 0-10. You know, you don't see Biola 0-10 ever. And so this is a battle between two winless programs last night, and Biola just came out big against us last night. Held us to 15 points in the first half. We outscored them in the second, but we still lost by about 18, 20 points with the overall performance. And, you know, if you look at the last time we even had started off a season 0-7, 0-6, you're going to have to go all the way back to 1989, 1990 when we went 0-24 for the entire season. And that's a long time ago. So hopefully that's not going to be a theme for this season, but the women's basketball team is going to have to find it some way or the other. If you see the girl down there, Adjit Adams for Biola, she finished with 24 points and 16 rebounds, 3 blocks, a steal, and an assist last night.
Wow.
She was all over the place. She was huge inside last night. And I don't know, I was talking to Laura Elliott before the game, you know, earlier that day. I said, hey, did you scout them? Did you watch how they were playing, you know, before? And she's like, oh, yeah, they have a guard that is like a multi-threat. You know, she can do everything. And then I'm like, well, did you kind of forget about Adams inside? You know, like, because she was all over the place, and
Right.
we had no answer for her.
Right.
There, we had nothing.
Well, the stats say that. You said
Of
24
course.
points, 16 rebounds. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a double-double right there.
Yeah, easily a double-double, and she was just all over the place. And what's funny is Biola, they put their subs in with like 8 minutes to go in the second half.
No, that's
and
embarrassing.
They just played with their subs in the rest of the game.
Well,
and,
our leading points point scorer was Danielle Hayes. She had 12 points. Adams from Biola had 24, so twice as much. There was a girl, Elizabeth Munger, who had 14 points off the bench. So when you have somebody coming off the bench and scoring more points than anybody else on your entire team,
correct.
not boding well for a positive result.
Yeah, and right now you see we have a lot of young talent
Very
on
true.
the squad. Carly Beekler had 7 points off the bench, a very strong 3-point shooter for us, but she hasn't found it yet. You know, once she does, she's going to be very lethal. We also had Margot Campos off the bench. She finished with 3 points. She had a 3-pointer, and you know, watching them last night, you know, they did well on the glass. They were doing well that way, but they lost points in the paint. They had 27 turnovers last night. And you can't win ball games with 27 turnovers.
No
There's
way.
No
And
way.
we've seen this team played pretty well. They were able to match CMS and, in fact,
Correct.
play better than CMS for
And
the
that's
entire
what was
first
strange.
half last
Yeah.
Thursday. And CMS is the best team in the conference.
Yeah,
One of
they're
the best
one of
teams
the
in
best
the
teams in the conference, and they played the best basketball that I've ever seen our women's basketball team play was against CMS. They were manhandling the Athenas that entire game until the very end. And I thought this might be a walkover for the Poets with Biola being 0-10 this season, but that was not the case, and it was the complete opposite. So I don't know, it might be because Biola's NAIA, they have scholarship players on that team, but if you're 0-10, you gotta, you know, there's some confidence there coming in. You gotta come out fired up, especially after playing so well against CMS. So, you know, they're on the road this coming Saturday against Chapman, and Chapman, again, is one of the top 2 teams in the conference right now. They're just blowing teams out also, and that's going to be on the road in Orange. We're not going to be going on the road there. They're going to be streaming it live from the gymnasium there on the campus of Chapman. But, you know, hopefully they'll be able to turn the tables and find something for coming up, moving into the P&G tournament at the end of this month, and then going into Sky Play once January rolls around once again. So, I don't know. You don't want to talk much about it, but right now, women's basketball 0-7. Hopefully, they'll turn the tables and something new will click for them coming up as they hit Chapman this Saturday and then the P&G tournament when they take on Pacific Union and Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark's a tough team, I can tell you that much.
Sure.
Pacific Union, that should be and could be a victory for us, but you can't count them out. I mean, you had Biola 0-10, and thought that might be a win, but that wasn't the case either. So I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we're going to come here with our first break now in the show, and we'll be back with you with some of the upcoming events and kind of moving forward here as we wrap up the holiday season and moving into January. Of the Poets in 30, your Poet Sports Talk Show, brought to you by kpoetradio.com, the Whittier College Sports Network, and wcpoets.com. So, second portion coming up, Zick's Pick. Zick, take it away.
Oh, it's that time.
It's that time.
All right, Zick's Pick of the Week for this week. Just to recap, Zick's Pick of the Week is a weekly decision that I make after taking a look at the performance of all the athletic teams, seeing which individuals or teams perform the best amongst Whittier College athletics. So we've had Steven Rivera, quarterback of the football team, win for his excellent effort in the Battle for the Shoes. Poets were victorious in that one. Then we had the men's water polo team as they were crowned SCIAC champions. And then finally, Wedge Mulvin was our SCIAC athlete of the week for, I believe, that final week of the season. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lance, but he has also won a number of awards since then, so Wedge Mulvin doubly earned Zick's Pick of the Week from our last show. This week, our first selection from the basketball team, and I pray that there will be more Zick's Picks coming out of the men's basketball roster, but this week's Zick's Pick is Nick Demusis. Nick Demusis was specifically in that game against Redlands, 22 points for him with just 21 minutes on the floor. The second least amount of minutes amongst the starters. Some of his other stats: 10 for 19 from the field, 1 for 6 from the perimeter, 1 for 1 from the line. He had 4 rebounds and 3 steals. Only turned the ball over twice as well, which is a pretty decent stat. So Nick Demusis, Zick's Pick of the Week for December of 2013, pretty much, because this is pretty much our only show. The week of December 11th. 2013. And we do have a special guest in the studio. The French Bulldog, Oreo Van Allen, is here, and she's tearing up the studio as we speak. So our apologies to kpoetradio.com. We'll make sure we get everything fixed before we go. But Oreo, you'd be my second Zick's Pick of the Week as she stares out the big window here in the
That's
studio.
our mascot here for Poets in 30.
And I think Nick Demusis had a Zick's Pick a long time coming because he, I think, has been the most valuable player for Coach Carter thus far on the season. What do you think about that, Lance?
Yeah, definitely. Nick Demusis has been a stud. Been able to play inside and out. Been great off the court as well. You know, always seeing him riding his little Razor scooter through the athletic department and hoping he's not going to hurt himself. But, hey, he's been great all season long, and I hope he continues to keep it up. And then hopefully Chris Barnes-Williams will find it, and those two will mesh really well, and that's going to be a lethal duo moving forward.
Yeah, and I'll click over here to the overall season stats. Nick's played in 6 games. He did have an injury in the early season tournament where the Poets went 0-2. But right now he's averaging 19 points per game. He's shooting 81.5% from the free throw line, which is fantastic. 29.6% from the perimeter, and 51.2% from the field. So some good stats all around for Nick Demusis, and I think as a whole, he is one of the best players on the team.
Correct, and he's proven to be one of the best in the conference. You know, he is pretty much turning out to be the Chris Barnes-Williams from last year.
Right.
And once Chris finds it and gets back into it, you know, that's going to be really good, both of those players coming back together. And then you have David Richardson penetrating. And he's averaging 7 points a game right now as a point guard. And, you know, he's not as strong as a shooter, but, hey, he penetrates. He makes everything work. And when working with him yesterday, he was knocking down stuff from the elbows. He's really fast. He knows how to play the game. He's intelligent. He's a transfer, and he's very good. So, you know, moving forward, men's basketball with these guys, once they find it, they should, you know, prove to be, you know, a force to be reckoned with within the Sky Conference.
Absolutely. And so, like I said, hopefully more Zick's Picks coming out of the Coach Carter-led men's basketball team. But for now, this week's Zick's Pick is Nick Demusis.
Fantastic. So, moving forward now, we don't have a guest in the studio. A lot of coaches are on break right now, or a lot of faculty members are getting ready for, you know, their classes and finals along with athletes, so it's kind of difficult to get someone in the studio today. But we have a lot of coaches that want to come in at the start of the new year. We have the 2 women's lacrosse coaches that want to come join us. We also have the men's volleyball coach, Chris Duarte McDermott. We're also going to have Rob Coleman coming in as well. So we're going to try and get Rock Carter in, Elizabeth Stanley from men's and women's basketball. So hopefully we'll be able to mix it up and get a few students in as well. But today, Tyler, we're going to have you on in the hot seat today.
Okay.
It was me last week.
That's
it's
true.
now your turn to wrap up the holidays. We're moving forward, moving into the new year. Let's see what you got.
My question to you first is, do you actually have questions for me?
I do. I got a few for you.
Are you improvising, or you've got some already?
I'm both improvising and I've got some. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, first question for you, Tyler. Growing up in San Diego, where was the best spot you enjoyed eating at in San Diego?
I would say Estrada's in Santee, because I went to high school at West Hills, which is right off of the 52 on Mast. I lived in Hamul, but I commuted 25 minutes to go to school out in Santee, and Estrada's was the place for the California burrito. That is San Diego in a burrito, I would say. You've got your carne asada, your cheese, and your French fries. I also like the sour cream in there.
There you go.
And Estrada's does it better than anybody else, in my opinion. So when I go back to San Diego next week for the Christmas holiday, I'm hitting up Estrada's for a Cali burrito.
There you go. Hey, since I'm from San Diego too, I think I should try and do that as well.
You've never had a California burrito?
Not from there, no.
But you have had one.
I have had one
in San Diego.
Correct.
And
yes.
I can't really, I can find them up here in LA, but it's not the same.
No, definitely not.
It's not the same. San Diego style Mexican food it's in a class all its own.
Correct.
And to be honest, I like it much better than LA Mexican food. I'll
Very
tell you
true.
that.
Very true. And my sister ended up going to Santana High School.
Oh,
so
wow.
Maybe she's eaten there before.
She
so
might
I might ask her
There's
about
2
that.
locations, one on
Really?
either side of Santee.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Definitely. I wonder if there's anywhere
She went
else.
to Santana?
She did.
She was a Sultan?
She was a Sultan.
I'm sorry.
Sultan of SWAT. And then you and West Hills always played against each other.
That was always it.
Always
Playing for the Mayor's Cup, whatever it was.
Yeah, it's always a good rivalry.
I'm not a
right
fan,
over there.
but I like
It's
you.
okay.
So I like your
thanks,
sister.
Thanks. There you go. She's a good athlete there.
Yeah, didn't she go to like Santa Cruz or Santa Barbara?
We went to Santa Barbara to play basketball.
That's
on a
great.
scholarship,
D1.
But I don't even know. They're even thinking of maybe retiring her number there at Santana because she broke like 6 records in basketball there.
So she's the athletic one in the family then?
Yeah, pretty much. No, everyone pretty much is. My brother got drafted by the Astros.
Oh,
for
yeah, that's right. You
baseball.
told me that.
I mean, my older sister, played basketball at UC Berkeley. I mean, so we have a bunch of athletes in the family.
So everybody but
I'm
you is
the
an athlete.
only
You're
one.
the guy that plays tennis.
I'm the one who didn't go D1 to play a sport.
Yeah, but you'll be a D1 athletic director someday.
That's true, and that's what I want to be. So, hopefully... And I'm the only one who stayed in athletics. I'm the only one. My other sister's coaching, but...
That's how it works
I'm
out.
the only one. So, I
Follow
thought...
your passion.
Yeah. So, I mean, my older sister doesn't work really anymore. My brother, is a teacher at USD and does, research, I guess, for them. But, hey, we'll see. Okay, second question for you.
Let's do it.
This might be an easy one for you, but what have you always wanted to do when you were younger, like as a profession? Granted, you always wanted to, you love doing sports broadcasting with us now, but what did you want to do growing up?
Oh, I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. What
Okay.
kid, what young boy who plays baseball doesn't want to
I knew this would be an easy one
Yeah,
for you.
become a professional baseball player. I wanted to start for the San Diego Padres.
Okay.
And I didn't have a specific position. Maybe I should have, and that would have helped me actually on the field if I had a little more focused goal. But, that was going to be my primary motivation to continue playing baseball. And one thing led to another. Luckily, I ended up here at Whittier because of baseball. Coach Rizzo recruited me. I only played a year here for the Poets, but actually that was the best thing ever to happen to me to get cut my sophomore and junior years because it allowed me. Keep laughing, Lance. Keep laughing. I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't get cut those 2 years.
That's true.
Because I would have played on the bench. I wouldn't have been able to explore other opportunities, and so I was able to really.
President of the school.
Yeah, president of the student body. I wouldn't have done that if I was on the baseball
That's true.
team. So. Baseball
Explore
has
a variety of
yeah,
different
baseball
things.
has brought me to where I want
Gotcha.
to go and be, which is to be this primary play-by-play announcer for the
There you go.
Padres. So
There you go, and you're making
kind
your
of
way.
a shifting of the goals, but
Definitely.
it's always been Padres associated.
Okay, I love it. Since we all love the Padres, Hopefully they'll be
you
able
and
to
me,
bounce back.
that's about it.
That's true. Good point. No
We're
one else
representing up here in LA.
Yeah,
God,
everyone else
Dodgers.
is Angels and Dodgers.
Ugh.
Unbelievable. And
Ah.
hopefully the Padres can do something this upcoming year.
Hey,
I'm
fingers
hoping.
crossed. We got a nice pitching rotation
With
coming
Johnson
in.
now coming
Added
in.
Johnson.
Yep.
You've got guys like Tyson Ross, Andrew Kashner, Eric Stoltz round out that rotation. A lot of young pitchers coming
Yes,
up
we
from
do.
the minors. We have the third best minor league franchises.
Really?
Yeah, I guess the
Wow.
the farm teams are the third best in the majors, which is saying something.
Interesting.
Excuse me, saying something, because the Padres used to have terrible minor league teams.
Yeah.
Always trading guys for other guys.
True.
But now, finally, a focus on homegrown talent.
There you
And
go.
we've seen the St. Louis Cardinals be successful year after year because of that.
True.
They don't restock, they just reload.
How about the Pittsburgh Pirates?
Yeah,
Look how
Pittsburgh
they're
Pirates as
doing.
well.
Unbelievable.
That Central
Like,
Division.
Very
I'm glad-
good.
I'm glad
very
the Padres
good.
are in the West.
Yeah, right? Okay, number 3 for you. Any embarrassing moments growing up?
Yeah, most embarrassing
Embarrassing
moment for
moment?
me, freshman year here at Whittier. This is the worst day of my life, and this says something about how good my life has been up to this far. Very blessed for that. But let me just lay it out for you now in a quick little story. So I'm on the baseball team playing for Coach Rizzo. I've already earned the distinction of that guy, the guy everyone makes fun of, the worst guy on the team, and I'll own that title. The guy who really was just kind of a joke out on the field. I tried to take it seriously. I didn't mean to be a joke, but that just kind of was. I was the Smalls, to use a Sandlot example.
Okay.
I was killing everybody. You're killing me, Zick.
Killing me,
That's pretty much
Smalls.
what it was.
Killing me, Zick.
So our first games of the season are against Chapman. This is before Chapman was in the conference, and it's an away game. So we played him on Friday. We beat him. We hadn't beat Chapman in like 3 years. So we beat Chapman Friday. We're all excited. I go to see a movie. It was the movie Notorious, about Notorious B.I.G.'s life with Andrew Vallejo, who is the up-and-coming star of the team, ended up becoming record setter and hits in a season, average, all that stuff. One of the best players on the team. It's funny we became friends because he was the best player, I was the worst. We go and see a movie. We get back relatively late, and I'm pretty tired. I'm kind of laying on my bed. I'm about to get up and brush my teeth, set my alarm, and I doze off. Don't set my alarm. My phone dies. I didn't plug my phone in.
Oh, no.
I wake up.
Oh, no.
Call for the bus call for the locker room was 7 a.m. Bus leaves at 8. I wake up, it's 10. So I wake up, literally, I am on the verge of tears. I call my dad. Both my parents had come up to see the games. They were out at Chapman in the stands, wondering where I was. I've got like 10 missed calls from Peter Mitchell, Andrew Vallejo, a bunch of people. So at the time I had a car. I hop in my car, drive down to Orange. I'm in my uniform already. I thought I was going to be sneaky, running around the outside of the fence where no one could see me, but everybody could see me, running late all the way around. Coach Rizzo won't even let me in the dugout, rightfully so. So I have to sit in the stands for 2 games in my uniform. And my dad, being the awesome guy that he is, he's been here on the show with us a couple weeks ago. He sat in the stands with me for both games. And that was the most embarrassing moment of my life.
Oh, boy.
Quite a story.
That
I've told
is quite
I've
a
told that
story.
story a few times, obviously.
That is quite a story.
Oh man,
and
Lance, I felt so bad, almost more embarrassed for my parents. My mom was so upset that she left. She drove back to San Diego, and I ended up losing my car because my dad had to get back to San Diego. So my punishment was
boy.
losing the car. So I still just
Wow.
get a really sick feeling in my stomach when I think of that day.
But how times have changed.
How
with you
times
and
have
Riz,
changed,
right?
yeah.
I
Rizzo
mean,
and I really are like best buds now.
Man,
That's what I'm saying. It's come full circle
Yeah.
with Coach Rizzo. Him and I really get it now. He allows me to come with the team on the Arizona trip, which I'm looking forward to. He gives me full access to everything that I need to be as best of a baseball broadcaster for the Poets as possible.
Correct.
So
Wow.
who knows? I wouldn't have thought it sitting there in the stands that day that this is where I would be 5-6 years later, but here I am.
Wow. That's an intense story.
It sucked. That was the worst day of my life. I have a bad feeling in my stomach just thinking about that.
Oh, well, hey, that was in the past. Moving forward, look what
That's
you're
it.
doing.
That's
You're
it.
going to be a broadcaster for the Padres.
That's right.
And he's going to be asking you for tickets.
Hey,
There
I
you go.
will gladly oblige.
There you go. So last question for you.
Okay, last question.
Last question for you. What's your all-time favorite movie?
That's a good question.
There's a lot of movies out there.
It's really funny that you say this because I was thinking about that last night. I was watching Austin Powers, The
Okay.
Spy Who Shagged Me,
Uh-huh.
and that's up there. That's up there in the top 5. But I don't know if I could narrow it down to one in the 30 seconds we have left. I really don't. And I hate to be able to or not be able to do so. But
Huh. That's
Yeah,
okay. What
I
are a
don't-
couple of your favorites, including that one?
all the Star Wars movies I
Star
love.
Wars, okay.
Actually, you know what? I would say my favorite movies but it's a series, would be the Harry Potter movies.
Okay.
Because that was like my childhood.
Okay.
So I would say that the 8 Harry Potter movies collectively are my favorite movies.
How about TV show?
TV show growing up was The Simpsons.
Simpsons.
Yeah,
Okay.
I watched that religiously every Sunday. I would say my favorite show right now at this moment would probably be The Walking Dead, like everybody else on Earth. I just really I binge watched that. And also, for those of you on Netflix, check out The House of Cards if you haven't already. Awesome show. Netflix only series. Kevin Spacey, awesome. It's
Breaking Bad's on
Breaking Bad
Netflix
also
too.
was fantastic. I haven't finished the series yet.
I've
gotten halfway through the last
series. I haven't started it.
Well, you better do that.
Yeah, I need to.
But
I'm trying to watch Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, okay,
I'm trying to finish that. There's 8 seasons of that.
Larry David, yeah,
Larry David is hilarious. Every time he has something going, something bad always has to happen.
Oh, that's the Larry David-isms.
Oh, just unbelievable.
Well, am I out of the hot seat?
You are out of the hot seat, Tyler. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I did it last week. You did it this week. We're done. Now it's time to get some other people on the show.
Yeah, we need some new people in the hot seat.
We need some fresh people in the hot seat. Okay, but here, real quick for you. What are you doing for the holidays?
Going home.
Yeah?
Enjoying Christmas in San Diego, relaxing, and then getting ready to broadcast the Purple and Gold Classic coming up. We've got to broadcast. I have to broadcast like 8 games.
Yeah, true. And I'm going to try and help you out here in PNG. I have everybody set up for stats and everything,
Perfect.
so I'm hoping to get up there in the booth with you a little bit.
We're going to get Lefty on the broadcast too, RC Cola.
RC Cola, yep. RC Cola.
Rob Coleman will be joining me as a special guest, special color analyst for some of those games.
Yeah, so coming up, upcoming events real quick, women's basketball this coming Saturday at 5 p.m. at Chapman on the road, and then men's basketball comes back next Monday, this coming Monday, and they're going to be on the road at 7 p.m. at Chapman in Orange, and we're going to be there streaming that game live on WCPoets.com, brought to you by the Whittier College Sports Network. The winter invite for swim is going to be coming up in a couple of weeks it might be a couple days. This coming weekend, 15th, 16th, 17th. So they're going to be in Commerce, California for that. And then the P&G Classic, the 28th, 29th, and 30th. One game on the 28th, men's basketball against Cal State Maritime. That's going to be a good game. Maritime is a very good program right now. They're 10-3 right now. They're doing really good. That's always a battle every single year. Okay. Then on the 29th, we have 3 games: 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock. 2 women's games and a men's game that night between Pacifica and Cal State Maritime. The men's team is going to play on the 30th at night at 7 against Pacifica. On the women's side, we have Lewis and Clark, Franklin and Marshall, and Pacific Union. Our women's team is going to take on Pacific Union and then Lewis and Clark on both days of the tournament. So it's going to be a packed 3 days, a lot of fun, a lot of basketball. It's going to be really exciting, after the Christmas break, going into the new year, and hopefully we'll have a lot more to talk about here with a lot of the basketball games going to be done, especially non-conference action. Okay? But your final word today, Tyler.
Word of the day, namiety. That's my final word.
Namiety.
The definition, excess or redundancy.
Okay.
And I would say that there were an excess, or I should say there were a namiety of zeros in the Whittier College men's basketball team's stats from this loss against Redlands, but I hope for a namiety.
And there was a namiety of information today on the show.
Yeah, there was, but I would also say that there needs to be a namiety of points scored on Monday against Chapman.
There you go. That's the word of the day, namiety. I'm Lance Franey. This is Tyler Zick. Thanks for joining us here on Poets in 30, your Poets Sports Talk Show.